Hi guys, Model Railroad Benchwork here. Today I'm going to be assembling a 4x8 table with 40-inch legs, and today it should take me about 20 minutes, but we'll see. The only tools you're going to need are a power drill and a 7/16 inch wrench. That's it. Normally, most likely you will have a regular drill. I'm going to be using an impact driver because it's simply what I'm used to, but either drill works just as well and is just as fast. So to get started, when you receive your order, most likely it's going to be in a box that looks like this. It's going to be 4 foot tall and 10 inches square. It's going to weigh about 50 pounds, so be prepared for that. What you're going to do is you're going to lay it over on its side. You're going to open the box and empty all of the contents out onto the floor. Hopefully a little more gracefully than that. So in the kit, you are going to have 6 L-shaped legs and 2 4 foot by 4 foot modular kits. If you happen to order legs with wheels on the bottom of them, the wheels will most likely be pre-attached, or it will be a very simple matter of just sticking the wheels through the hole and tightening down the bolt. So once you get your order unpacked, first thing you're going to want to find is the Ziploc bag. This is going to have all of your hardware in it. There's going to be 2 separate bags inside this larger Ziploc bag. One is going to have the L-shaped leg instructions and hardware, which is just a bunch of screws. I'm going to set that off to the side for the moment. And then the other one is going to have the module assembly instructions and the hardware for the 2 4 foot by 4 foot modules. Inside of this bag, you're going to have screws and bolts as well as the instructions. I've been incredibly detailed on the instructions here to make it as simple as possible for you to assemble your layout. However, if you do have questions, feel free to email me and I'd be happy to help you in any way I can. So, since I've done this a few times, I'm going to go ahead and just skip the instructions for myself. What I did just now is I went through and I found the 3-inch number 2 square drive bit that's in the bag with the kit. I'm going to go ahead and install it in my drill. And then I'm going to grab one of the 2 modular kits and I'm going to unwrap the shrink wrap. You can feel free to use a knife to do this. I do suggest cutting on the side grain of the plywood versus the face grain, just for appearance sakes. And once you get one side unwrapped, you can usually just pull the other side apart, like so. So, first thing you're going to want to do is, depending on whether or not your module has holes in all of the boards or not. I do sell these modules in 2 different manners. One is without any holes around the perimeter, and one is with holes all the way around. This gives you the option to add on additional modules later on if you would like, or if you're just building a simple 4 foot by 8 foot layout, and gives you the nice clean sides so you can go ahead and have a nice and presentable layout once you're done Once you're done finished putting together a module and your layout as well. So, what you're going to do is, out of these 6 boards, there's going to be 2 boards that are longer than the others. You're going to flip them open, and they're going to be marked with not only a pencil line, but a cross mark. And you're going to want to make sure that those line up in the same direction. There will also be a 45-degree angle pencil line somewhere close to the center, and that's going to be the 2 edges where they meet together. So what you're going to do is take one of these boards, you're going to set them down next to each other, and then take your shorter boards, and these are going to be your cross members. These are the ones that have the pocket screw holes in all of them. You're going to go ahead and flip all of these so the pocket screws show up on the top. Place them up And then you are going to fill the two outside holes with pocket screws. Once you have this ready to go, you can go ahead and take your first board, lay it out in front of you, and then grab the solid board if you are assembling one of the tables without holes in it, as I am, and that's going to go on the outside. Now when you line up the board here, you're going to want to make sure that there's about a fingernail's width between the edge of the bottom board and your cross member here, because when the screws drive in, they will shift the board slightly, and your fingernail width of a space actually compensates for that. So you're going to grab your drill and slowly at first drive your screw in just so it gets started, and then once it gets started you can go ahead and drive it in all the way and it'll snug it up. As simple as that. And then you're just going to continue for the other boards. Now, for these two middle boards, there's going to be a line with an X on it. Your board is going to go over the X, and then simply just drive in the screws. Same as before. Again, on this end board, you're going to leave about a fingernail's width, or about a 32nd of an inch. And then drive in your screws. So, now that we have the first side assembled, we're going to set your next board down. You're going to make sure that that 45-degree angle cross mark that I pointed out earlier, they touch together, and then you're going to go ahead and rotate your assembly and flip it up on the other side. Same thing again, make sure you leave a little bit of distance before you drive in the screw on the end board, and then make sure that the ends are flush when you drive in the screws. So that's one completed module. So I'm going to go ahead and set this off to the side, and I'm going to put together the second one. Again, as before, you're going to go ahead and flip the two longer boards over and make sure that that 45-degree angle cross mark matches up. This will ensure that the boards are in the correct orientation, so when you assemble the modules, all of the lines will line up where they should. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay out all four of my cross members here. If you do order the 5x10 module, it is possible you will have an additional cross member. Not a big deal, just follow the same procedure and install the screws the same as all of the rest. Now with my modular benchwork product, I have a couple rules that I have in place. One is cross members are no more than 16 inches apart. The second one is all of the cross members have not only a 1-inch wiring hole that's routed over with the router so you don't cut yourself and you don't have abrasion marks on your wires, but also it has 5/16 bolt holes, which allows you to add additional modules onto the perimeter of your layout, as well as add additional stuff like drawers and stuff. Drawers, slide outs, drop down sections, anything like that if you want within the interior of the module as well. So again, I'm just following the same procedure as before in the first module. I'm making sure to put the cross members over the X and line them up with the line. Now, I'm doing this on the floor, but I do recommend doing this on the table if you can. So if you are assembling multiple modules or a larger layout, what I suggest is putting together 1 or 2 of these modules, go ahead and put the legs on them, and then throw on a sheet of plywood or something like that so you have a work surface. Then you're not kneeling on the floor, it's a little bit easier on your knees, as well as the rest of your body. So again, I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. Go ahead and insert the screws. Again, it's going to be the 2 outside holes on each cross member. Now you're probably wondering what the extra holes are for. There's 2 purposes for these holes. One is in the event you overdrive a screw, which is possible, you have an extra hole to put more screws in. The other is if you put all 4 screws in, it makes the module stronger. So if you're going to be transporting this layout or moving it around a lot, or for example, you have the wheels on the legs, I really do highly recommend putting in all 4 screws in every single hole, which will make things just that much stronger long term. So if you do decide you want to add the additional screws, I do have them available on my website. It's $5 for 100 of them. And you can order as many as you would need. And if you don't know how many screws you would need, you're more than welcome to email me and ask me, and or just give me a phone call at area code 224-201-9868, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Naturally, all of this information is available on the instruction sheets. But as simple as that, you now have 2 4-foot by 4-foot modules fully assembled. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these modules, we're going to lay it flat on the floor, and we're going to grab an L-shaped leg. Now L-shaped legs in this particular case are meant to go on the outside corners. So you're just going to stick them in the corner like so. Grab some of your screws out of the L-shaped leg bag screws. They are a different size screw than the screws you use for assembling the modules. They are a little bit shorter. And the reason for this is so when you drive them in, they don't poke out the outside of the module. So what you're going to do is you're going to assemble these and secure these legs in a crisscross pattern. So each leg is going to get 4 screws. Like so. And what I'm doing is I'm driving them into the opposite corners. So when you have all 4 screws in, it's literally strong enough to pick up the entire module. Just gives you a rough idea of the strength of these. So now I'm going to go over to the next corner, and I'm going to install the next leg, and I'm going to install all 4 legs on this particular module. Now, one thing you do want to watch out for is you want to make sure that these legs are seated fully into the corner. You want to make sure there's no gap. Or the table could sit slightly out of level and make your life more difficult than it really needs to be. All right, so 2 legs down, 2 to go. Leg 3 here. I apologize, I'm sweating a little bit. I'm in Central Florida and it's a little warm. Alright. So again, I'm just going to repeat the process, the same process I've been using on all the other legs. Going crisscross with the screws. Time. All right, so now I have legs on all 4 corners, which means I can stand it up, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So you'll notice that there's the 4 different sides of this module, but only the one has screw holes and wiring holes in it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that up. And I'm going to point it this way. So you can see what I'm doing. So the next module, I'm going to lay it on their opposite on top of it. And then I'm going to attach the legs to this side. So I've found in my experience that once you have one module up, things get significantly easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and drive one screw here in the corner. And that holds the leg up all by itself. And then I'll go ahead and put in the 4 other screws like I have been talking about in that crisscross pattern. One. And the second leg is now held up. Again, you're going to want to double check and make sure that the leg is flush with the bottom of your module. And drive in all the extra screws. Now when you are done, you will have a couple extra screws. I do this purposely just in case you drop one in the carpet or something like that while you're assembling the module. All right, we're almost done. So now, I'm just going to bolt these two modules together, and we'll have a completed 4 foot by 8 foot table. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this like this, bring it out so it's almost flush. Just basically lay the two cross members on top of each other. And I'm going to go ahead and stick a bolt partially through the one hole, and then set this down in place so it is level. Now, when you're assembling these modules, keep in mind, you don't have to make them line up perfectly. If you want, you can offset this by as much as 18 inches, giving you a different layout shape and a little more room if you would like. So, if you do decide to offset by more than 18 inches, you will need one additional leg. Those can be purchased separately on the website. And if you're confused as to where to find them, just send me an email. I'll be more than happy to point it out for you. So again, I got one bolt here. And one bolt on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and stick a washer on there and a nut. I'm going to go ahead and thread it on there real quick. And if you would like, you do have two additional bolts. Each module that's 4 foot by 4 foot or smaller will include 2 bolts. If it's larger than 4 feet or 48 inches, so if you have a 54-inch module or a 60-inch module, for example, you'll get 3 bolts per module. So again, just stick the bolt through the hole. And then put the washers and nuts on them. And then you can go ahead and take that 7/16 wrench and slowly tighten them down. Once these two modules are bolted together nice and tight, it's just a simple matter of running over to the hardware store and buying a full sheet of plywood to put on top. I do recommend that the sheet of plywood be secured with 1 1/4" drywall screws. I do recommend the coarse thread. They do grab the plywood a little better. And then make sure when you are driving in the screws that you keep them about 1 inch away from the far corners of the layout, just to prevent undue splitting of the plywood. As long as you do that, this is actually a very secure system, and it will hold up much better and much longer than a traditional pine table will, and you don't have to worry about it changing dimensions with the changes in seasons and humidity levels. So again, this is a 4 foot by 8 foot table with 40-inch legs, completely assembled and ready to go. Thank you for watching.